I'm Chris Cuomo. Welcome to Primetime. We're focused on COVID here, especially until we get the Delta variant under control. And for now, as you know, it's getting worse. But as we'll discuss tonight, there is an increasing response from leaders and citizens. The president today went after specific state leaders to change course.
All right, so if you're like me, then you were very interested in seeing whether Chris Cuomo would completely ignore the scandal engulfing his family. The answer is he did. We just played you the first 20 seconds of last night's show. The first 20 seconds of nearly every political show in cable news focused on Andrew Cuomo and his sexual harassment allegations, but not his brother Chris. In fact, the Governor Cuomo story never made it into Chris Cuomo's show last night. CNN covered the story yesterday, but did not talk about it during Cuomo prime time. National security analyst Steve Krakauer joins us now. Steve, in fairness, if my sister Liberty had had an equally bad day that Andrew Cuomo had, it would not lead my show either.
Yeah, look, it's unsustainable, I would say. As you point out, CNN covered the story. In fact, mere moments after Chris Cuomo signed off last night, Don Lemon was covering the story as the lead story, as they should be. And I don't know. I actually don't think we know, going back to the pandemic last year, Chris would have his brother on, and they would have this like jovial back and forth. And I think that there was some editorial, ethically, dubious things about that. But it's possible to cover the story. If you can't cover the story, you can't be on the air, though. There has to be there has to be a choice. Either cover it and give your necessary disclosures. Obviously, he's my brother, or you can't do it. I mean, it's odd if it's just 1 hour of no Cuomo coverage.
Why is CNN allowed to have it both ways? As you pointed out, when it was good for ratings and it was the Cuomo brothers show, we could look the other way on the editorial and ethical and journalism decisions. But now Chris Cuomo is forbidden to mention anything about his brother, and CNN does not put out a statement saying anything, and everybody gives him a pass.
Right, and we've seen not just the fact that he's, Governor Cuomo was on Chris Cuomo's show during all of this. We now know what was going on with the nursing homes, which is another big issue. But we actually know Chris Cuomo helped draft the statement and was part of the war room when it comes to these sexual harassment allegations. He was doing that while he was obviously a host on CNN. So that's a huge ethical problem for the network. And I also think the sexual harassment allegations, which came to light in December, so it's been much newer than the nursing home investigation, which is still ongoing, that has not been nearly as well covered by CNN or anywhere else in the media, that for months and for over a year propped up Chris Cuomo, this Cuomo sexual, and tried to make deify him as this great COVID leader.
Everybody held him out
as the bigger story here.
Everybody held him out as America's governor, but you rightly bring up the nursing home scandal. What does it say that this is a man, Andrew Cuomo, whose policies are clearly responsible for thousands of people dying in nursing homes from COVID, then for covering it up? But that's not what does him in. It's 11 women claiming sexual harassment that now suddenly the media is all aghast at.
Right. In some ways, you almost think it's the easy way out. As I mentioned, there is an investigation still ongoing into the nursing home scandal. We may get information for that, but the way this story is moving, Andrew Cuomo may be out of office by the time that happens. There is an actual impeachment, being drawn up right now. He may be out of office and not bear the brunt of that. But I think that's also where the media bears the most responsibility, because they did not cover this story. And for months, we knew that this nursing home story was a real thing. And so much, just let it go. There's real culpability there, even more so than the sexual harassment allegations that clearly has been investigated and seems to be true as well.
This is an important point, because so much of whether or not the impeachment hearings continue and there's pressure in Albany is about the media coverage. Do people in the media continue to hammer away at this story? You look at the latest New York Post poll here. There are 60% that think Andrew Cuomo should resign, but there are 32% who think he should serve out his term. 32% of elected Democrats don't feel that way, but that's pretty stunning. Does the media look at that and say, we can just move on from this story?
Yeah, and in fact, I believe Democrats in the state of New York, more than half think he should stay in office. So we know where this is coming from. And I would say the media is as culpable for the perception among the average resident of New York than anywhere else. I mean, because of the way he was real. I mean, you look at this, Cuomo sexual, merch was being sold, and he sold a book and he got $5 million advance, and he was selling posters of "We Made It Through the Mountain." I mean, it is completely absurd in retrospect to look at this, but this is what happens in the media. There is not a real reckoning that happens. There's not a real post-mortem that says, let's sit back, let's correct what we did wrong. Now, sure, they're covering the sexual harassment allegations, and that's the scandal, and that's in some ways an easier way out than really looking back at the awful Cuomo COVID coverage that happened last year, March, April, May, June, July, when we knew this nursing home scandal was a real thing and was being completely suppressed.
All right. Steve, there will be more to talk about on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Leland.
Why don't you do your job? Why don't you get this border secure? And until you do that, I don't want to hear a blip about COVID from you. Thank you.
The blame game. Governor Ron DeSantis and other Republicans take aim at President Biden over the crisis on the border, blaming migrants for the record surge in COVID cases. Talk to the head of the Border Patrol Union about that. Plus,